Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by for this week's video. So today I want to look at an issue that I won't call it common, but you do see it from time to time on a CT70, and that is a non-working speedometer. So it's hard to film the tire and up at the speedometer and get everything all in one shot. So we're going to stay focused on the tire today, and we're just going to use a separate speedometer and cable and so forth, and it should get across the message we're trying to do here. So if you've got a bike and the speedometer doesn't work, there's probably maybe 3-4 different reasons why. First one could be that the speedometer itself is bad. Now, that's actually not very common in my experience. From all the years I've done this, I've run across actually very few speedometers that weren't good. About the only time you do have one is when you see the glass is broken and weather has gotten inside to all the internal parts and so forth, and they've rusted or whatever. Obviously then you'll get a speedometer itself that has failed. But if your speedometer, if everything looks like it's sealed okay, more than likely the speedometer itself is going to be good. It might be rusty or whatever, but as long as the weather hasn't gotten to it, it's probably okay. The next thing that I've seen a little more common that is the problem is this broken speedometer cable. I don't know if I'm spinning this end and you can see that end spin. We've got a good cable here. Okay. And really the most common problem that you find with a non-working speedometer is a bad speedometer gear that's inside behind the brake plate here. What happens is guys take the tire off, change a tube, change the tire itself, whatever. They're not aware that there's a speedometer gear in here, and that little speedometer gear has a couple tabs on it that fit into the wheel. So as the wheel spins, it spins the gear, and then that gear spins a little worm gear inside the brake plate. See if I can get it. So what I'm looking at is that down here, and you see it spins. And when it spins, we're going to look right here. I don't know if I can get that to focus or not. I'm going to take my finger and just kind of try to roll that gear. There's a little tab in there that's turning, that's spinning. So I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see that. Well, what happens is if somebody takes the wheel assembly apart, if they're not aware of how to put it back together, as the wheel spins, it doesn't spin that speedometer gear, which doesn't spin the rest of this unit. So that's the most common problem. So I went ahead and took the nut off. Let's take this apart, kind of show you what I'm talking about. See if I can launch this axle bolt across the shop. Okay, first I'm going to show you the wheel. So what we're looking at are the two little rectangular slots right here. Drop my parts here, okay. And then on the inside of your brake plate, there is a speedometer gear. Again, let me move over here to the camera a little bit better. So I'm looking at this unit in here, and I can spin it. See, it turns, and if you look over here to the left, you'll actually see it spin that worm gear. Now to get this out, oh, that one actually came out pretty easy. Sometimes you got to dig that thing out. I pound it on a table, do something. But what happens is, guys install the brake plate back onto here with this speedometer gear inside, and they just put it on there somewhere, and it doesn't hit, those tabs don't line up with those holes. Well, then they just kind of force the thing all together, and it flattens these tabs out, and so that they're not making a connection with the wheel. So as the wheel spins, it's not turning the speedometer gear. So what I like to do for assembly, I take the speedometer gear out, I put it in place first, then I take the brake plate, put it on. You kind of got to spin it to kind of get everything to line up. You can actually then, once you've got it together, you won't be able to see this on camera, but you can kind of rotate it back and forth and look, and I can actually see that little tab is spinning. So I know that everything here is good. So let me take just a second and see if I can get this assembly put back together reasonably quick, and then we'll all right, there we go. All right, so now the speedometer cable. I can't remember if I showed you this or not, but we'll show it to you again. One end of the cable, oh, focus for me, is forked. And it slides inside this brake plate, and you might have to rotate the wheel to get that tab lined up with the opening on that cable. Tighten the cable down. The other end of the cable is square, and it just fits into the back of the speedometer. Now I'm using a triangular speedometer that's out of like a K0. If you have the round speedometer, it works the exact same way. Everything I'm telling you here works, just the same way. So it doesn't make any difference. The only reason I'm doing this is because I can't film top and bottom at the same time. So we should have the gear in right. We should have good cable. So if we spin the wheel, any glare? No. So you can see that the speedometer, I'm up to about 10 mile an hour or so. And then as it slows, it'll settle down. So we've got a good gear, we've got a good cable. So let's say if you want to check your speedometer without pulling the wheel apart, you can do it with a drill. Take your, just like you saw me, take it off the brake plate. Now, you have to run your drill counterclockwise, so in reverse. Oh, I've got to make sure that the cable doesn't slide out of the sheath. All right, let me hold this together. So hopefully I'm seeing that. So now we can... So if you do that, take the cable off, put a drill on it, and your speedometer moves, then you know that the problem is behind the tire. If it doesn't move when you do this with a drill, you know you've got a cable problem or a speedometer problem. So, guys, I hope that helps. If you've got a non-working speedometer, it's some things to look at, to check out to see if you can get yours to work or not. So, appreciate you checking in, watching the videos. If you liked it, hit the subscribe, give me a comment, give me a like, whatever. And we will continue just to do short little videos on little techs and tips, how to fix your bike up. Guys, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.